All right, welcome back, guys. Algebra 1 here, Chapter 6, Section 3. We are talking about linear equations in the point-slope form. All right, this guy right here, this is a brand new style of equation, but in a way, it's not. All right, so what you're going to learn is that, yes, this whole point-slope form is this guy right here. However, it uses all of the same parts that the slope-intercept form uses. Okay, so essentially you've learned slope-intercept. Yes, you are learning a new form, but there's no real new parts to it. All right, so basically a lot of words that Mr. A just said to get to the point, you know all these parts. We're just putting them in different locations. All right, there you go. That took way too long. My apologies. Let's jump into it. Write all of this down and everything around it, all of that right there. Take the time to write it all down, okay? You're going to need this in your notes because we're going to reference it in class. And if you give me that blank stare look of like, I have no idea what you're talking about, that just never goes well. Take the time now, write it down, okay? Pause the video, do that. All right, we're moving on. Okay, so something actually, just one more thing to reference. You see these minus signs right here and right here? Those are in the equation, all right? They are in the equation, meaning, let's say we have this minus sign in the equation, and I put another negative right here combined with that negative, what's going to happen? It's going to become a plus sign. You're going to see me do that in the example problems, but I just wanted to tell you that in advance. This one and this one right here, part of the equation. So if I put something in just for x that's negative and combines with that negative, it's going to change. All right, now we can move on. Okay, guys, when I highlight these notes, that's me highlighting the most important parts of the sentences or of the statements. So make sure that at the minimum, you are at least reading the highlighted parts. Okay, so when you're given a point, that's x comma y, you're given a point and you're given the slope, and then they say, okay, write this in the point slope form. Well, they gave you every part you needed. You're just going to plug it in. All right, you're going to see me do that as it says right here in example 1. Okay, now as we move on, if you're given a point slope form already, and then they're telling you to graph it, well, here's what you do. Pull out the slope. Pull out the x value, pull out the y value, and then you have everything you need. All right, you have a point, and then if you have a point, you can use the slope to get the next point. And you're going to see me do that in example 2. Okay, and then this final piece right here, if you're given 2 points, then unfortunately this is where the most work is done, because as it says, you have to calculate the slope. And you guys have done this already back in chapter 5. You were doing this with the slope equation. That's the y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Yes, we are still using that. Okay, you're going to see that example 3, example 4. All right, without any more waiting, let's jump into it here. Okay, so the first one, you're going to write the point slope form that goes through this point. Here's our x, here's our y, and it has the slope of 2. So there's our m right there. Okay, and you have to have this in your notes. So if you have those notes already written down that I told you at the top of the page, then everything's going to be good in relation to these problems. Okay, so we're going to have y minus, and then here is our y value, -3. So you're going to notice something. This is an example already. The equation says minus. The value of y also says minus. So y minus -3, what's going to happen? Eventually, we're going to change that to a +3. All right. Then equals, and what is our slope? 2. And then parentheses x minus 4. All right, so let's go ahead and bring everything down here. And this is the exact answer that we're looking for. Okay, you have to make sure, let me finish that parenthesis, you have to make sure to change that minus right here and another negative into a plus sign. All right, if you don't do that, then it's not actually simplified. Okay, so there's example 1 where you are given x, you're given y, and you're given slope. And then you need to put that all together into the point slope equation. And don't forget the whole thing with the minus, the negative, and how that becomes a positive. All right, let's move on. Example 2. Now we have to graph it, but we are given the point slope equation. So this value right here is my slope. So m is -1. Now this right here is my x value. X equals 2. Now why is it that x equals 2 when in the equation it says -2? Because, got to go all the way back, guys. Make sure that you remember that minus sign is part of the equation. So if I plug a +2 in there, then it's going to look like a negative when it's in there. But what does that mean if, let's go back, what does that mean if I had a plus sign? That meant that I plugged in a negative. All right. So now right here, here is our y value, y equals 1. So let's put the point together. 2, 1. There's our slope. There's our point. So now all we have to do is plot the point, then use the slope from that point. So the point says x is 2, 1, 2, +1, so 2, 1. All right, we are right there. And then the slope is a -1, but don't forget it's really -1 over 1 because slope is always rise over run. You have to show both. So that means we go down 1, right 1. So we would be right there. All right, and there's our line. Whoa, line got moved a little bit. Let's redo that. All right. There we go. There's our line. Okay, so pull out the point, plot the point. Then from that point, use the slope. All right, let's take a look at example problem number 3. Write an equation in point slope form, but you're given 2 points. So we're going to have to use the slope equation. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Here's x1, here's y1, x2, y2. All right, let's figure out the slope first. 4 minus 3 over 4 minus 2 equals 1 over 2. There's our slope. That's done. Now we're going to use our x and y values right there, and we're going to use our slope value right here and plug those into the point slope form. So we have a y minus 3. We got the 3 value right here. Then equals, and our slope is 1/2, and x minus 2. All right, so make sure you see this is a +2 right here, but when we take that +2 and we plug it in, again, don't forget there's a minus sign there because of the equation. And then we took our slope value, plug it in right here. So this is the final solution right there. Perfect. That's exactly what we were looking for. Let's do it one more time just so you can see how to do it again. x1, y1, x2, y2. So let's go 5 minus 1 over 3 minus a -1 equals 4 over 4, because this right here would become a plus positive equaling 1, which is our slope. Okay, guys, I can't stress this enough, and I know I may say that phrase a lot, but You have to know how to use the slope equation. Every year I have students who are still struggling with the slope equation. You have to know how to do it, how to use it, and be comfortable using it. All right, there you go. So now that we have our slope, here is our x value, here is our y value, and let's put them into the point slope equation. Y minus 1 equals 1 parentheses x. Now here's a perfect example, plus 1. Why am I doing that? Because I have a plus here, and normally there would be a minus here with a minus here. Those together would equal a plus sign. So you have to understand when it's going to change to a plus sign. When is that going to happen? When the original value is a negative, and in the equation we had a negative. That's going to change it to become a plus sign. All right, there we go. And there's our point slope form right there. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Those example problems, watch it, rewatch it, take the notes, come to class with questions if you got them. All right, see you in the next one.